Hey, everybody, welcome again to the What's Up Solar podcast. I have my friend, my colleague, Jacob Yang, the marketing guy. Well, he's my marketing guy. I actually go to him for advice and how to proceed through this changing landscape of marketing and how to be in front of people and what strategies to use. And every once in a while, I like to catch up with Jacob. So, hey, Jacob, how you doing?
I'm doing good, Emmett. How are you doing? Thanks for having me on the show.
I'm doing well. We talked a couple of months ago, but some things have changed since then. The landscape has changed. When we first started talking, we didn't have this big, beautiful bill. People are scrambling, trying to find out what they're going to do, what the attention is. So take me back for a second. When you were out in the clean energy world doing your thing, what were you seeing that made you think, yeah, there's a gap here and someone needs to build a global marketing community around this?
Yeah, I noticed a lot of marketers would usually have maybe one person, a few people, with the exclusion of big names. You think of EDP Renewables or other large clean energy global companies. But when you think of like a residential regional installer or EPC, they've got one person in their marketing team. And that one person most likely has never been to RE Plus. They might have done some of the event work. They most likely don't know many connections within their community. And so I noticed this consistent feeling of being siloed across the clean energy marketing landscape. And it's fascinating to me because when I attended RE Plus this past fall in Vegas, I talked to marketers from all over the world, from Taiwan, from Israel, the US, and everybody said the same exact things. And that was one of their big issues was they were feeling siloed and they wanted a place to connect with like-minded individuals to pull in resources and essentially lift the entire industry because clean energy has so many more blockers. Like if you're listening to this and you don't know anything about clean energy, we literally have a term called the solar coaster for all the craziness we have to deal with administrative changes. You don't deal with that in healthcare. So
No.
we have a lot of battles and we realized that we're stronger together. And that's why I put the community together Amper story.
You're absolutely right. It's funny that you pointed out now, but in retrospect, and I because I'm a trainer, I've dealt very closely with marketing for products and for services and things of that nature. But you never see several things. One is at these shows, you never see marketers get together and say, "Hey, let's have a marketing powwow. Let's just get together. Or A, let's have a marketing powwow, or let's get to know each other." Or you never see marketers from different companies just like, "Hey, how you doing? What's going on? What's changed?" Which is really weird because we're a community, a very small community. And with the clean energy marketing, it isn't really exactly selling sneakers or software. From your seat, what are your biggest challenges marketers in the space run into, and how does your community actually help them get unstuck instead of just swapping LinkedIn posts?
Absolutely. You know, we focus heavily in the community in a few aspects. I'd love to talk about those first. One is we deal with the feeling of being siloed. So once a month, we get together. I meet with everybody for 5 minutes and we do a breakout session. And
Hmm.
you literally get to meet with another marketer from anywhere across the world. We're now in 5 continents as of this morning. And you get to network and do all the pieces that you want to have in place to build community. The second piece, which alludes well to your question, is we also focus on an Ask Me Anything session. And we have a committee of 10 individuals. And the reason why I built a committee is because I realized that I am good at clean energy, B2B growth marketing. Like that's my sweet spot. I emphasize in paid media. I am adept in other facets of marketing, but there's so many different pieces to marketing. I
Yeah.
mean, event activation, content marketing, ABM. I mean, the list just goes on and on. Direct mail people use too. And so I needed people around me who are really smart, first of all, great people. And so I interviewed, and I chose 10 committee members, and we do a monthly session for anyone to ask anything they're experiencing. Some questions that have been derived have been everything from I've gotten laid off, which is a lot of layoffs this year, sadly.
Yeah.
How do I find another job in clean energy? What are the trends I need to be aware of? One of the trends I surfaced was that a lot of investors and financiers are shifting to supporting the European market for higher risk aversion. And because of this, if you want to get a clean energy role, in my personal opinion, to be more risk averse on your own self, it's worth considering applying for global companies. So that's one way we support job seekers. Another is we also offer a monthly guest speaker series. We had
Oh,
Stuart Durman from Relo. It's a clean energy marketing agency out of Salt Lake City. And he talked about very specifically, if you're a residential installer or EPC, how do you gain trust and traction with homeowners in your community so that they get solar? He mentioned in our conversation something that was small but really critical. And these are the nuggets that I'm looking for because they're so tangible. It's weatherization triggers. He's essentially saying every time there's a power outage, something happens, someone loses power, a homeowner, a family, that's when you want to trigger a campaign to get messaging around solar and things that'll support them. So it's those little nuggets that really we're looking for in our community. We offer it in, even further assets of we're doing a book club around marketing specifically that we're launching next quarter, which I'm very excited about. So the whole point is like you've got clean energy on one vertical, solar, wind, BESS, yes, those are common, but also geothermal, nuclear. And then you look at the other side and you've got all the marketing pieces. And in between, there's all these people who are siloed who are like, dang, I'm managing like I'm wearing 20 hats and I don't know what I'm doing. And my executive team is asking some really hard questions, right? And the biggest thing I hope to get away from this community long term is I want executives in the industry to acknowledge clean energy marketers as a revenue generator instead of a cost center. That's my number one goal.
yeah, a lot of people don't understand how these ancillary departments really are revenue generators. Training is one of those. Marketing is another, and they go hand in hand with each other. But in this day and age of the attention economy, that is your revenue generator. One thing that I've been saying is that since 2020, people, especially in the training world, they forgot face to face. They forgot greeting the public. And all these things have to be taken into consideration. What came before? What can we do before? What can we do now? Now, you've pulled together all these people from different countries, different cultures, corners of clean tech. What surprised you about what actually connects clean energy marketers across the globe and what's universal once you strip away the tech and the geography?
Yeah. Once you strip away the tech and geography, it's those same desires, the need for community, the resources, the advocacy. How do I communicate to my CFO and COO and advocate for more budget? It's all the same trends that I heard. And I think the beautiful thing about Amp Your Story is it's not a revenue generator for me. The sole purpose is to build a community on a global scale. And so right now we're keeping it 100% free for that exact reason. I don't want somebody in Brazil or Argentina or a European country or Australia. I don't anyone want to feel neglected for this opportunity because they lost a job or there's a cost difference from different countries or anything like that. So I was actually reaffirmed in a good way that these are the same things people keep iterating and that we're on the right path.
Now, one thing that I recognize when we start working together is I thought I coined the term fractional training, but the term fractional marketing, fractional CFO, fractional CEO, uh, that all applies. Have you guys put a definition on what it is that you do? If you're working for a company, then you're an employee. But with so many changes in the market, there there is a sea of people who are available to do very niche jobs. Hey, I need you to come in. We got a campaign. We're rolling out in 3 months. We need to get this campaign together. Is that an option for this group or discussed in the group?
Yeah, so we do not discriminate across in-house marketers, freelance marketers, fractional marketers, or agencies. So we've built a directory of anyone who's interested in positioning themselves as available for work. So you can go into community and see agency partners, again, freelancers and fractional individuals. There are more and more people, I think, exploring the fractional route as well. It's good in both aspects, in my opinion. On the individual person who's offering the services, it allows them to have autonomy to work with several different companies and explore that freelance route. But I would say an important distinction between freelance work and fractional work is that fractional marketers bring a high level executive perspective while also getting into the weeds and doing the work and the due diligence. I do think freelance work is important too, and they also do the work, but they don't bring the same level of strategic advantage that
Yeah.
you would get with a full-time CMO. And then on the flip side of the coin, to the company, it's valuable because you get them for a fraction of the cost, hence the term fractional. And you also get to essentially test and trial something with them, right? Because you put somebody full-time employment, right? There's a rigorous process. There's 5+ interviews, these unpaid case studies. I mean, just
Yeah.
the stuff is ridiculous. But you reduce that friction, and then it may open doors if you want to get back into the full-time employment world.
Okay, we've talked about the what, the how. No, we've talked about people and how. But what's where can people find out information if you're a marketer or if you're looking into this? And what's the title?
Absolutely. The community is called Amp Your Story. The website is www.ampyourstory.marketing. Again, it's a free online community. We just hit 80 members in 5 continents as of this morning. And I think to transition slightly, Emmett, one thing I think that's really relevant and I think is an elephant in the room when you're thinking about marketing, there was a Wall Street Journal article that's going viral talking about how more Fortune companies, Fortune 500 companies, I believe, need storytellers. And when
Oh,
us marketers are seeing this, we're like, yeah, we've been doing this forever. So
yeah.
when you're thinking about the validity, if you're an executive, thinking about the validity of marketers and communicators, I encourage you to advocate for them and work with them to understand they're a revenue generator, not a cost center.
You're absolutely right. And I think I saw an article similarly about storytelling. And if you think about it, the thing that pulls people in because we're in this, I'd say you got 5 minutes. That's the max. If you can come up with a 5 minute story with a trajectory that resonates with people, this goes back to Edward Bernays's marketing ploy, where you hit where they are, where you hit where their wants and needs are, then, and I've seen several companies that have done that well in the last couple of years, and they're now in the PV industry where they weren't really before. And it's because they resonated with the core group that everybody else was not really paying attention to. But I'm digressing. Let's talk about impact. Since people have joined the community, what kind of changes have you seen, like career growth, confidence, better execution, sharper strategy? Any moments where you thought, okay, yeah, this is moving, this is working.
I think getting great feedback. I've gotten quite a few testimonials. I haven't had capacity quite yet to share on my LinkedIn, but I plan to start sharing those. People are really excited about this group because it's authentic, it's real, I'm taking the feedback and circulating it back into the community. So it's very much product-led growth, PLG. And it takes a certain level of humility. And I think it's also allowed me to grow as a leader because I've got really smart committee members around me, giving me sometimes very valuable, but a lot of feedback. And that's
Mm.
exactly what I'm looking for. Like, tell me where I can improve. Tell me how this gets better. Because this isn't about me. This is for everybody. Because I don't believe in the notion of this competitive need in our industry. We're so niche. It's like, what's our real end goal as human beings, right?
Yeah,
We want to save the human race. The animals, they'll be fine. We've gone through catastrophic events, as Neil deGrasse Tyson talks about in his star podcast that he does. I love,
yeah, that is
but
awesome.
he emphasizes that animals, everyone else is going to be fine. The humans, not so much. So that's one of the reasons I firmly believe in clean energy. It's like, let's fix this problem together.
Yeah, we are fragile beings. If you can, a deer can travel up north and be outside all winter long and be fine. If you don't wrap us up right, give us enough water, give us enough food, within 7 days, it's a wrap for us. So we really have to think about this. I've been on the promoting virtual power plants because I really believe in that now we are able to be wholly sustainable energy wise with some retooling of the mindset and technology. Oh, it's limitless. But once again, I went on a tangent.
It's all good, Emmett. Yeah, I think it's, I've got two nephews and they're both 2 and under, and all of the mistakes that my parents and my grandparents made and my generation is making, they're going to have to reap the repercussions. And so that's why I'm in clean energy, because I wake up and I want a future for them. I want to solve this problem. And when I look back, I don't want to think about my competitors and, these things that don't quite as matter to me quite as much.
So, when we talk about renewables, most people think solar, but then there's wind, there's geothermal. Are there also marketers in that vein that are coming into the fold?
Yeah, there's got an agency owner, Tyrell, who's out of Canada, and he has a really strong presence with the nuclear community in Canada. And
Hmm.
so ideally, with our guest speakers, our AMA sessions, our coffee chats, and our book club, we're encapsulating again those two verticals. Like, if somebody wants to work in nuclear energy, how can we support them in that transition?
Yeah,
Or geothermal, solar best wind. And then on the marketing front too, how can we support them on those functions I mentioned earlier?
yeah. So let's zoom out a bit. Where do you think clean energy marketing is headed over the next few years, and what roles do communities like yours play in shaping the future instead of just reacting? Because PV and solar is very reactive.
I truly believe that marketers and communicators have a unique role because they're asked to learn in-depth technology and derive it to something that's digestible to your audience. It could be developers and talking about ROI assurance, risk aversion. But on the B2C side, when you're looking to homeowners, that's a really tough conversation. How
Yeah.
do you convince people to go to solar when there's so much sentiment? And then likewise, when you're looking at community solar projects, small CNI, greenfield projects, ground mount or utility scale, you build this massive solar farm and you get people who pushing back. They don't understand the research that's going into agrivoltaics, solar shepherds. It's just there's a lack of awareness. And that's why this community also doesn't discriminate against between marketers and communications professionals who are actually going to these communities and talking about and addressing that
Mm.
sentiment. Every aspect is important. Essentially, going back to the Wall Street Journal, we're storytellers. There's a story to be told. Let's fix the problem. Let's help save the human race.
And let's amplify that story. Hence, amp your story.
100%, man.
Hey, this has been great. I really appreciate you. And I've said this before. I truly appreciate you, and I'm living in gratitude every day to know people like yourself. So let's do it again. Where can people find everything?
Appreciate it. Amp Your Story is the community. You can find us. We've got a LinkedIn page. You can go to www.ampyourstory.marketing. Similarly, you can find me on LinkedIn, Jacob Yang, Jacob Juan Carlos Yang. Feel free to say hi on LinkedIn. I'm always down for virtual meet and greets. I love doing coffee in town. I just love networking and meeting people in our community. So feel free to say hi.
Thank you so much. So, everybody, remember this. Well, I'm looking outside. Yesterday it was nice and beautiful. We had snow for weeks, and then all of a sudden it was 40 degrees. So I literally went from 5 degrees to 40 degrees, and it felt like spring. But all that is driven by one little thing. It's this little ball that goes across the sky, and sometimes it changes position, and sometimes it's high. Right now it's low, and in a few days it's going to be ascending back to high. But one thing that little ball, which is the sun, it will never do is send you a bill. Till next time, love you all. Peace. This has been Emmett with the What's Up Solar Podcast and Jacob Yang.